Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. So Mauricio Pochettino has apparently rejected the opportunity of becoming Chelsea manager right here, right now. What are your thoughts on this? Does it mean that Chelsea are looking to replace Potter? Is Pochettino the right man for Chelsea? Should he be rejecting that job? Is it an absolute disgrace that Chelsea would even be contemplating that, with the story developing and saying that Chelsea will not remove Potter without a contingency plan? One thing's for sure, this situation is escalating. I personally think it's escalating too quick. I think the obvious thing for Chelsea to do is, when you've spent £300 million on a manager 3 weeks ago, you don't start sacking him 3 weeks later. You give him till the end of the season. I think it's absolute. Look, take the emotion out of it. I know Chelsea fans are saying get him out, whatever. That's up to them. It's your club. But from the outside looking in, how ridiculous is it to spend £300 million on a manager and then sack him 3 weeks later? Is that what football's become? Absolutely incredible. Incredible. And to say that they also spent 200 million on Tuchel and sacked him 3 weeks later. I mean, whatever you say about Chelsea, whatever you think about Potter, you've got a big issue at that football club, because if you've got owners who are sacking managers after spending 300 million pounds on them, did those managers buy those players? If they're so blasé about removing managers when they've spent hundreds of millions of pounds, I think that says a lot about who bought those players. I really, really do. I think if I'm running a football club and a manager says to me, I want this, this, this and this, and I've spent £300 million doing it, I'm not sacking him 3 weeks later. I absolutely cannot sack him 3 weeks later, because I've just spent £300 million on players he wants for his system, and then I'm sacking him. I think there's a big, big clue here that if Chelsea are looking to sack Potter and do sack Potter, like they did sack Tuchel, these signings are not the manager's signings, because you wouldn't do that. No business is going to spend that amount. I mean, they broke the January transfer record for spending and then sack the manager 3 months later. These aren't Potter's signings. If they sack him, that means it's it's somebody else buying them, in which case you're in big trouble, because you're going to be the English PSG. You're going to be this club that really undermines the manager. Oh, we don't care about the manager, we'll change that to try and win it, and we'll keep buying players that we think's right. So there could be a warning sign there. But Pochettino rejecting Chelsea, well, it could be because he saw what the problems were with PSG and he doesn't fancy that again at Chelsea. But I don't blame Pochettino. Do I think this is true? No. From what I've heard, I've heard that Chelsea are going to stick by Potter. So, as I said, the Sterling thing, I heard that very early. Had some good info on Chelsea over the last sort of 8 months. And the story is that they're going to stick with Potter. But those things can change very quickly, sackings of managers. I don't believe they've asked Pochettino. I think if they have, it's a disgrace, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But on the very simple level, there are Chelsea fans out there that would like Pochettino to be sacked. Would Potter to be sacked? You probably would want Pochettino to be sacked very, very soon, to be fair. Would he be a viable option, and why would he not want the job? I think, to be honest with you, whether I'm Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, anybody else that Chelsea fans might want, I wouldn't want that job now. I don't think that Chelsea team looks like you walk in and everything suddenly changes. You might get a bit of a bounce, but I don't see a massive bounce coming with that Chelsea side. I think that, to be honest, the squad is bloated, that there are players in there that are uncertain about their futures, maybe don't want to be there. There are players there that are Tuchel players. There are players there that are, brand new players. I think it's a mess. You're not going to get a pre-season. It's a very hectic season. Some people are very tired after a long season. I don't think if you go in there, you're suddenly going to go and win 10 games in a row. And also, this is the most competitive Premier League season we've had in years. So I don't think it's possible to go in there and win 4 or 5 games in a row, because I just think, you're going to play somebody decent very, very soon. So I think you could go in there, maybe get a couple of wins bounce, and then you'll have a couple of losses, and then by the middle of April, people will be going, oh, he's not that good, let's get the sack. So I don't think it's a good time to go into Chelsea. I think there are times to take a job on that it's good. I don't think it's a good time to go in for Chelsea anyway. So maybe Pochettino, if he had been asked, wouldn't want to do that anyway. But I don't think Pochettino's the answer for Chelsea. Manchester United fans, we can give you an answer on this. Pochettino was the media choice. We didn't want Pochettino, and I'll give you a glimpse into why. Because Pochettino, he's not Ten Hag, he's not an up-and-coming manager that looks like they're going to be really good in the modern game. He's yesterday's news. At Spurs, he did very well, but his record was pretty abysmal against the top 6 sides. At Spurs, he did get top 4 quite consistently because he was able to beat the lower teams, but he wasn't very good against the top 6 sides. At PSG, he didn't win the Champions League. And nobody's won it. Tuchel didn't win it. But I'm telling you, Pochettino did not fill me with confidence as a Manchester United option. He felt like yesterday's news. He felt like someone from the past. And I think the way the Premier League is now, Pochettino wouldn't get top 4 with Spurs now if the Premier League was what it is like now 6 years ago. I don't think Pochettino's the one for Chelsea. And I'm not saying that Potter is, but I don't think Pochettino's the right man for Chelsea. I really don't. And I think it's got a sense of, oh, you know, let's just take him because he's not Potter. But that's not the way to be successful. And also, I think for any manager looking in, you've always got to look at what's going to happen tomorrow. And as I said, I think it's a disgrace if Chelsea have asked Pochettino or any other manager to take the job, because that just shows how it's like relationships, isn't it? You know, you could be out on a night out and you see a dream date, right? And they're gorgeous and you're like, oh, they're amazing, right? They come over, they're interested, let's have a dance, let's go off somewhere, right? And you think this is great. And you wake up the next day and you're like messaging your mates and they're going, I'm telling you now, don't be fooled. This is what they did to the previous partner. This is what they did to their previous partner. They're going to do it to you. And, no, I'm different. And a week later, they do it to you. And everyone goes, I told you so. And I think Chelsea are a little bit like that. Look at what they've done to Tuchel. Look at what they've done to Potter. What makes you think they're going to be patient with you? There's been no patience with 2 managers of which they've spent hundreds of millions of pounds on. What makes you think you're going to get treated any different? You're just going to, you know, as soon as it goes wrong, they're going to be all over you. So that might be another reason that somebody else doesn't want it. But there will be somebody who wants it. And Chelsea are a sleeping giant. I mean, let's be honest. They've got some fantastic players. They've got wealth. But at the moment, I think they're struggling for an identity post Abramovich. Abramovich, obviously, you could read what would happen if he was in charge. Abramovich would 100% have sacked Potter by now, wouldn't he? But would he have sacked Tuchel? Maybe, but one thing under the Abramovich Chelsea era is they would have had a definitive plan with better recruitment, and I don't think he'd have spent £300 million in January. So Chelsea are not that anymore. What are Chelsea now? They're still Chelsea Football Club, but their identity, I don't think they know it themselves. The structure, the plan, the vision, well, the vision is to win the Champions League and the Premier League again. But it's very sporadic at the moment. I think Chelsea needs some consistency, and I think the fan base is crying out for it. And the best place to get that is on the pitch. But I think the worst thing you can do, and they might have to do it, is bring a new manager in who's got £300 million of another manager's players and £200 million of another. I mean, at what point? Are Chelsea fans still lost in the honeymoon of we've got a rich owner that wants to spend money? And are they not in the reality of what the bloody hell are they doing? Like, whether you liked Tuchel or not, whether you like Potter or not, what football club in the same 6-month period sacked 2 managers they've spent £500 million on? Read that back. It's ridiculous. And also, I think the fans, I don't get what the plan is. Like, oh, let's bring Pochettino in. Let's bring Mourinho back. Let's bring this manager in. What? And give him the insecurity of a board that will happily sack him even if they've spent £500 million on them. And you're inheriting everybody else's players. I think that what Chelsea need is strong leadership. Maybe they don't have that in their manager. Maybe they do. But they need strong leadership. They need a really good sporting director of football. They need an owner that stops getting involved in the day-to-day running of things. He's so busy, isn't he? He's involved in everything. They need an owner that demands respect and calm. They need a director of football that knows what they're doing. And they need a clear strategy over the next... Because the thing about Chelsea this season, it was always transition. They're heading towards transition next year. This next 4 months, they need to calm it down. They need to have a plan. They need to go into the summer and have a plan and then hit next season with a plan. At the moment, it's up and down. It's like a yo-yo. They need some stability. Now, A new manager won't mean stability because they'll have to get backed in the summer. You'll have to have clear out. I mean, I can't imagine what a new manager does with that Chelsea team in the summer. They will need another 300 million. And that squad is just full of what Tuchel wanted, what Potter wanted, or is it what Todd Bowley? It's a mess. They need some continuity. They need some consistency. And yet every day they're not getting that. They need to calm it down. They need to beat Spurs with Potter on Sunday, and they need to build from that, really. I think that's the best way forward, but who knows what's going to happen next. Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think. We've got Liverpool Real Madrid tonight as a watch along, so I'll speak to you later. Make sure you subscribe.